Hi, it's Tim from ADHD to Mastery. And in this video, I want to address one of the biggest misconceptions surrounding ADHD. It is probably the most common way that people look at ADHD, and I believe it is wrong. You see, ADHD is most commonly perceived as a disability. Just like the name states, it's an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? So a disability. And we treat it as such. We give people who are diagnosed with ADHD medication in order to deal with the ADHD symptoms that they experience. We teach people certain lifestyle hacks in order for them to make it easier to deal with their disability, with their lack of focus, with their lack of interest, with their low energy, low motivation. And the problem is, this approach never truly addresses what ADHD really is. You see, ADHD, what it really is oversensitivity. We are very sensitive to triggers in our environment, and as a result, we are easily distracted. So as soon as we experience something that catches our attention, it's very difficult for us to focus once again on the thing that we were first focusing on. But that is not how it has to be. You see, for the last 26 years, I did have a similar experience. I did see ADHD as a disorder because I always had problems with focusing. I had low motivation, I had low energy, and I didn't really know how to deal with that. So I tried medication, which sadly didn't help me much. And afterwards, I started on my route of self-development, and I tried so many different things. I tried different diets, I tried different life hacks, different study techniques, tried to look at my sleep, had multiple researches done, was also reading lots of scientific literature on ADHD, but nothing really helped until recently. You see, only a few months ago, I made one of the biggest transformations in my life. I went from being exhausted every single day to having tons of energy, being able to focus and function incredibly well on low amounts of sleep. I might only sleep like 4 to 6 hours a day, and I'll still be incredibly fit. And I'm in the best shape of my life. Now, I'm not going to take my shirt off for you now, but maybe at some point you'll see me work out. But the thing is, I made a really big change. So what did I do? Well, I did what almost nobody else does, which is the inner work. Now, what really is the inner work? The inner work is everything that happens inside of you, right? Whereas the external, which you can say the internal versus the external, is what happens in your life, really the actions that you take, everything that you do, everything that you see, that is the external. But everything you feel is the internal. And doing inner work means addressing the feelings that arise in you at moments where you feel triggered. Because in every moment where you are unable to focus, you are triggered in some way. And that causes different emotions to arise. Now, inner work addresses these emotions, and it does so in 4 steps. The first step is becoming aware of the emotion that you are experiencing. Now, most people are not aware of the emotions that they are experiencing while they're experiencing them, right? So you might be angry, but in the moment that you're angry, you're not aware of the fact that you're angry. You're just reactive. So you react angrily at someone or something, but only later do you realize, oh, I was just angry, right? So becoming aware of the emotion that arises while it arises is becoming conscious of that emotion. And as soon as you're able to do that, you're able to look at what emotion is underlying this emotion. Now, this can be quite difficult, and this is why I'm actually a personal coach, and this is what I help people with. So this next step is something that you can consult me with, and you can check out my website on www.adhdmastery.nl for more information. But anyway, the second step is deepening out that emotion. And that requires you to just sit with that emotion for a while and experience it fully. Experience it all in your body. And look at it until you feel another emotion arise. because you might be frustrated because your boss yelled at you, but there is another emotion underlying this, which could be that you don't feel heard by your boss. You don't feel heard and seen. And underlying that emotion is another deeper emotion. He said, if I'm not heard, if I'm not seen, what happens then? Well, then I feel like I'm not part of the team. Well, if you're not part of the team, how do you feel? Well, then I feel sad and lonely. Oh, so you're lonely, right? That is what's getting triggered here. And I can give you a bit of you can say like a spoiler with regards to our more fundamental emotions, the things that underlie other emotions. Most often, those are either feelings of inadequacy, I am not good enough, or feelings of loneliness. I'm alone and there's nobody else there for me. So as soon as you hit those levels, as soon as you start experiencing those emotions, then we go to step number 3, which is making contact with a younger version of yourself who experienced that same emotion. Sound complicated? Well, let me elaborate. In your life, you have experienced this emotion before. And psychology shows that the earliest experience in your life was the most important. So if you can remember that moment in your life when you were still a child and you experienced that very same emotion, and it's okay if you don't remember the actual earliest event, but just your earliest memory, what you need to do is you need to visualize what happened in that moment. You need to visualize yourself as a child. What happened in that moment? What were you experiencing? Why were you having that emotion, right? And then, as soon as you can see it and feel it, you need to approach your younger self from the adult that you now are. And you want to give your child, the child, exactly what he or she needs, the little girl, the little boy. So don't deny the experience, but affirm it. So say, oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, oh, are you all by yourself? Hey, well, I'm always there for you. I'm your ideal father, or I'm your ideal mother, and I'm always there for you. You can always count on me. And I love you unconditionally. You're the sweetest little kid. And there's nothing you have to worry about because I'm always there. Those are the positive affirmations the child needs to hear. And as soon as you do this, you'll feel that emotion dissipate. You'll feel it become less and less intense to the point where you start feeling free and you start feeling warm and loved. You're essentially practicing self-love. And then we get to the natural consequence, which is step number 4, which is letting go. And this is not something you have to consciously do, because as soon as you have completed step number 3, approaching your inner child, you will start letting go of that emotion that was first troubling you. You'll start feeling better. And then all of a sudden, new motivation can arise, or new ideas for things that you want to do. And that is the inner work. And in order to improve optimally, to change your life in the way that you start living the life that is good for you, you gotta do both the inner work and the outer work, which is everything in the external sphere. And that can, for instance, be working out daily, having a decent diet, having good habits like going to bed early, or not being on your phone too much, reading, those sorts of things. And you'll figure out what kind of things you like. You don't have to force yourself to read if that's not your thing. Figure out the things that are good for you that you also enjoy. Combine those two things and you'll become the hero of your own story. And if you ever have the need to contact me about these sorts of things, again, my information is available on www.adhdmastery.nl, and I will see you in the next video.